Welcome back to another Witcher lore video. So I've decided to make today's video on one of my favourite creatures within the Witcher universe, and I know I always say this, but this is actually one of my favourite creatures, if not my favourite creature in the Witcher universe, as my channel has a lot of association with it, because as you know, my channel is named The Witcher George, and The Witcher George is a Witcher from a school that has this creature's name in it, and that is of course the school of the Griffin. Anyway, today's video is going to be on Griffins. So to begin with, as always, some basic information. A griffin is a creature with the head, wings, and talons of an eagle, and the legs, body, and tail of a lion. And these creatures are actually seen throughout the Witcher games. And in actual fact, the first contract you have in The Witcher 3 is to kill a royal griffin, which is terrorizing the locals of White Orchard. So they're pretty intertwined into the game pretty much from the start, and you have multiple contracts with them throughout the games, and I'd say that they're one of the most memorable creatures from the game. An actual interesting fact about these griffins is that, like a few other real-world animals, they find their mate for life at a young age, and they actually remain with that mate until their death, or their partner's death, at which point I believe that they just don't mate anymore and they just sort of mope about till they die. So that's the very basic information on the griffin if you just want to get the idea of what actually is a griffin, but now I'm going to talk to you about the environments in which griffins generally live in. So there are a few different sources that give us an idea of where griffins are generally found, but the overall idea is that griffins like to live in unreachable high areas, such as mountain summits or particularly high hills. But as always, just as with every animal, there will be exceptions. Moving on, I'm going to talk about the different species of griffins now. So there are royal griffins and arch griffins. A royal griffin is the griffin you first meet in White Orchard, and it behaves in the way you would expect a lion crossed with an eagle to behave. Very strong, agile, and can of course fly. But the arch griffin is pretty much the same, except for one physical trait. So arch griffins are actually able to spit acid at their foes, and this most of the time catches their opponents off guard, as the general peasant or knight might not be able to tell the difference between an arch griffin and a royal griffin. And there is also another type of griffin that appears to be very rare, or at least the only one of its kind, and this griffin does actually appear physically different than the other two griffins shown in the Witcher games, and it also appears to be much larger. It is not known why it is so different, but we can assume it is either a genetic deformity or a rarer subspecies of griffin. And this griffin was in a Witcher comic quite a long time ago. I'll put a picture of it up on screen so you have an idea of what it looks like. But yeah, it's definitely classed as a griffin, but it looks significantly different to the other ones. You might say, oh, that's because it's a different art style, etc, etc, but I'm not too sure about that. This griffin is said to be different to other griffins. So I'm now going to read a Witcher 3 description of a griffin and the bestiary for a griffin. Description. The griffin looks like a combination of a ferocious cat and a giant bird. It usually inhabits primeval highlands and builds its nest on unreachable mountain summits. The griffin preys on large mammals and, being a highly territorial creature, fiercely defends its hunting grounds. When the first colonists appeared and trade routes expanded, griffins were known to attack settlers and merchants in defense of their territory. Griffins are tough opponents, and their strength should not be underestimated. Obstinate and aggressive, they make deadly use of their ability to fly during combat, swooping down on their enemies, knocking them to the ground, and ripping them to shreds with their claws and beak. The griffin is a hybrid, a cross between an enormous cat and a bird of prey. According to some researchers, it is one of the creatures that arrived during the conjunction, whereas others claim it is a native species that appeared in this world long before that event. Bestiary entry. Aye, half eagle, half tomcat, just like on the Lord's crest. Except this'n was carrying me dead cow, instead of a scepter. Griffin attack witness, name unknown. Griffins were once only found high in the mountains, where they would hunt marmots and wild goats. When humans encroached on their lands, however, griffins soon discovered a new source of a much more plentiful and easier caught prey: cows, sheep, and shepherds. Though still wary of main roads and towns, where fold with the means to hire a witcher are like to dwell, these half-eagle, half-wildcat creatures have gone from rarities to oft-encountered pests known throughout the northern realms. Especially hated are the subspecies known as the royal griffins and arch griffins. So that's the description and the bestiary. I'm now going to discuss the way in which griffins fight. So griffins will spend most of their time in the air, attempting to swoop down on their prey, tearing their target to pieces with their sharp talons. However, when they are against an opponent with a ranged weapon such as a bow or crossbow, they may be knocked to the ground. At this point, the griffin will then change its tactics and may attempt to pounce on their prey, or use their powerful wings to knock their prey to the ground. They may also use a screeching ability which can stun their foes. So different to the royal griffins, an arch griffin may also spit acid, and this can weaken the armor of an opponent, or, if they don't wear armor, it can corrode their enemy's skin. So due to these tactics, it's best to keep within melee range of the Griffin, to prevent his pounce, and to use exploding crossbow bolts to deal deadly damage. It's also easier to get behind it, which is the best tactic to do with these Griffins, as they obviously have a lot of frontal abilities. Moving on from that, Griffins are considered to be the most honourable of creatures in the Witcher universe, being both a lion and an eagle, which are considered noble animals and leaders of the normal animals in the Witcher universe. Griffins are chivalrous, and even allow a warning screech, which is to warn their prey, so that their prey may have time to prepare for their attack. Griffins are known to prefer armed men to unarmed men, as defeating an armed opponent flatters their pride. Griffins are actually known to attack fiends, which, as you know from my last Witcher Monsters video, are the terror of Velen's wilderness. Finally, I'll say that Griffins are a big inspiration within the Witch universe. You'll know this just as of having played the games, but you'll also know this because of the fact that an entire Witcher school is named after them, and this is the Witcher school that's considered most chivalrous. And that is of course the school of the Griffin, home to the Witcher George. Anyway guys, that's the end of today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. This has just been a very basic video on Griffins. I hope you've learnt something new, or at least had fun watching. As always, be sure to follow my Twitter. I post updates on there pretty much whenever I can. If you guys ever want to draw any art for me or anything like that, I could put it on my Twitter, give you a little bit of a shout out, maybe put it on Discord. It could just be fun to see what you guys can draw. So yeah, follow me on Twitter if you're interested in seeing updates or doing anything like that. Also, be sure to follow my Twitch. I do plan to do some games on there at some point. I don't know when, but if you follow me, you'll get the notification when I do go live. I used to go live quite a lot, but we'll see how long that'll take. Also, be sure to join the Discord. We have over 300 and something members on there now, maybe 400, I'm not sure actually. But we talk about The Witcher pretty much every day. There's loads of channels on there for you to talk to if you just want to discuss art, if you want to discuss Witcher stuff in general, if you just want to discuss something that you enjoy. Just join the Discord and you can meet loads of people on there. As always, a big thank you to the Patreon pledges. Thank you so much for donating. It's very, very kind of you, and I just want to say that you guys are honestly amazing. Thank you all so much for donating. I'm glad to put you at the end of every single video I do. I do try my hardest to try and get you the thumbnails a day early, but generally these videos take a very long time to do, and you might get it on the day just earlier than normal. If you want to donate and support the channel, get your name at the end of every single video, get the rank of Grandmaster on the Discord, there's a link in the description. You only have to donate $1 and you can get all of this, so be sure to do that, or donate as much as you want to support the channel. Thank you all so much guys, and I'll see everybody later.